New York Corrections Officer Sexual Assault, your civil rights lawsuit. Attorney Andrew M. Stengel. Correction officer sexual assault at Bedford Hills Correctional Facility and other prisons throughout the state, including Albion Correctional Facility and Taconic Correctional Facility, represents one of the most serious forms of institutional abuse in New York. New York's only maximum security women's prison, Bedford Hills Correctional Facility, sits in Westchester County. It operates under the New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision. As a result, every woman confined there depends entirely on that institution for her safety and protection. That officer exploits the full power of the state to harm someone the state is legally obligated to protect. This is not merely a crime. It is a constitutional violation with serious civil legal consequences. Survivors have the right to pursue civil rights lawsuits in New York, and a criminal conviction against the officer is not required. However, navigating these legal remedies requires understanding which constitutional protections apply and how to hold both the officer and the institution accountable. The law firm of Andrew M. Stengel, PC, handles these cases with the seriousness and sensitivity they demand. Why correction officers' sexual assault at Bedford Hills is a constitutional violation. Women held at Bedford Hills, Albion, or Taconic cannot leave. They depend entirely on DOCCS for safety, medical care, and protection from harm. Therefore, a correction officer who exploits that dependency commits an abuse of power that constitutional law directly addresses. Under the Eighth Amendment, sentenced prisoners at Bedford Hills are protected from cruel and unusual punishment. Sexual assault qualifies without exception. Additionally, women detained pretrial at any New York facility have due process rights under the 14th Amendment. Both provisions give rise to federal civil rights lawsuits under 42 U.S.C. Section 1983. Two elements must be proven to prevail on a lawsuit against the individual officer. First, the officer acted under color of state law. Second, the conduct violated a clearly established constitutional right. Most importantly, both elements are typically straightforward when a uniformed DOCCS officer sexually assaults a woman in custody. How institutional liability works at Bedford Hills Correctional Facility. You can hold New York State and DOCCS liable when an officer's sexual assault at Bedford Hills, Albion, or Taconic reflects broader institutional failures. However, proving that requires more than showing a single officer acted wrongly. Legal action against the institution requires demonstrating an official policy, custom, or deliberate indifference to known risks. Inadequate screening during hiring, failure to investigate prior complaints, and supervisory indifference all contribute to institutional liability. For example, when the institution ignored prior complaints against the same officer, that history becomes powerful evidence. It shows the institution knew about a dangerous employee and chose to do nothing. Beyond that, supervisory communications and disciplinary records frequently reveal what DOCCS knew and when. Survivors at Bedford Hills rarely report these sexual assaults because officers control housing assignments, disciplinary reports, and program access. In fact, that control makes reporting genuinely dangerous. Because of this, cases like these require attorneys experienced in New York correctional civil rights litigation. Experienced counsel knows how to preserve evidence, protect clients from retaliation, and build the strongest possible institutional liability case. No criminal conviction required, the civil rights standard. Many survivors of correction officers' sexual assault at Bedford Hills, Albion, or Taconic assume that a criminal conviction is necessary before pursuing a civil lawsuit. Civil and criminal proceedings operate completely independently of each other. You do not need the district attorney to prosecute, and you do not need a conviction. Instead, the civil standard requires proof by a preponderance of the evidence, meaning more likely than not. That standard is significantly lower than the criminal standard of beyond a reasonable doubt. As a result, many officers who were never criminally charged have faced successful civil rights litigation in New York. Juries in New York have repeatedly awarded significant damages in correction officers' sexual assault cases. Additionally, civil discovery often uncovers evidence that criminal investigations never produced. PREA investigations at Bedford Hills, required under the Prison Rape Elimination Act, may also surface records that strengthen your civil lawsuit. Personnel files, prior complaints, and internal DOCCS communications regularly emerge during litigation. Furthermore, that evidence strengthens a civil rights lawsuit in ways a criminal proceeding never could. What we do for your correction officer's sexual assault case. Our attorneys at the law firm of Andrew M. Stengel, PC, investigate every Bedford Hills correction officer's sexual assault case thoroughly. First, your attorney pursues personnel files, internal affairs records, and prior grievances against the officer through formal discovery. Here's why that matters. A documented pattern of ignored complaints turns individual misconduct into institutional DOCCS liability. After your initial consultation, your attorney evaluates the strength of your case and identifies all potential defendants. Next, your attorney files a complaint in federal or state court, depending on which theories apply. Discovery follows. Both sides exchange records, take depositions, and retain expert witnesses. Expert witnesses, including correctional policy specialists and mental health professionals, often play a central role in cases at Bedford Hills, Albion, or Taconic. Most civil rights cases are resolved through settlement before trial. Still, strong trial preparation is what drives favorable settlements in the first place. Therefore, our attorneys at the law firm of Andrew M. Stengel, PC, prepare every case for trial from day one. The law firm of Andrew M. Stengel, PC, representing women survivors of Bedford Hills. Sexual assault. Women who survive sexual assault at Bedford Hills Correctional Facility deserve legal representation that matches the gravity of what they endured. Of course, every consultation is free and completely confidential. We handle most cases on a contingency fee basis. You pay nothing unless we recover for you. Contact us for a free, completely confidential consultation. Email info@stengelaw.com. For more information, please visit our website, stengelaw.com. Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome.